Okay, we are live.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Police Off the Cuff After Hours. My name is Mark LeMayo. I'm your host. I'm here with my partner in all things law enforcement, the very handsome Bill Cannon. What's up, Bill?
Looking forward to this great guest we have, a New York transplant down to Florida, but he's got a great story.
Our guest tonight, we're excited to have him. He's a retired FBI agent. He's also
No, not FBI. He's a federal drug enforcement.
I was Customs,
U.S. Customs, yeah.
1 out of 3.
U.S. Customs agent, but he's also a Hall of Fame junior college basketball coach. He has a book he's written entitled Inside Both Courts. Let's welcome tonight Bob Starkman.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, and I'm glad to be here.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
Starkman.
Starkman.
He wants to be a comic too. That's great.
Oh man, I just get every time I'm looking at your name, I think of the Nick John
Stockton? Oh no, Starks.
John Starks. Yeah. I do.
He's a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Bob is a huge Dave DeBuscher fan.
Oh yeah.
You remember Dave DeBuscher, Mark? Or you're probably too young.
Well, I remember his name, but
1969. It was Bill Bradley, Dave DeBuscher, right? Walt Frazier, Willis
Dick
Reed,
Barnett,
and Dick Barnett, right?
Yeah,
I've had
Russell, a whole bunch of guys. Yeah,
I've had the honor of being in Walt Frazier's company at least 3 times. I have several pictures with him because I tell jokes at John Stark's celebrity golf outings.
Okay.
And I get invited to the bowling tournament. I just got another invite right now, but I met all those guys. Well, not the ones Walt Frazier I met, but all the Knicks that John played with.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a pretty great thing. Is that you?
Who's that handsome guy on the screen?
It's about 30 pounds ago.
You mean, wait a minute, 30? Come on. What do you think? We're stupid?
Look at the mitts on him. Look at that mitts on him. Look at them. Look at his hands.
You're 6'5", right, Bob?
Yeah.
And you have a son who's 6'10"?
My son Rob is 6'10". My daughter's 6'1". My little son is 6'3". And my daughter was the basketball player. Yeah.
The 6'10" guy never played hoops, right?
He played basketball. He actually started a company. He has one of the largest sock companies, Rockham Apparel. And he's making a lot more money would if he was playing ball. And my little one was a baseball player, and he works with the Atlanta Hawks.
No shit.
Yeah, my daughter was the basketball player. She's married with children now, you know.
Did you dunk?
Yeah, could I?
Back then, yeah.
Oh, yeah, a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I could dunk. I was 6'1" and I could dunk.
Really?
They called me the Great White Leaper.
All right.
I was 6'4".
I'm just kidding. I could dunk, though.
I played high school basketball. I'm 6'4", and I couldn't dunk. Once in a while, it looked like I dunked it, but I just couldn't grip the ball. So my coach used to say to me, "You run like you hate the earth."
Lead feet, huh?
Yeah. He used to tell me, "Don't trip over the lines on the court."
Bob, tell us about now. I know you always wanted to go be on the NYPD, but for whatever happened, the timing never worked out, and you wound up getting the job. Well, first you worked in corrections, right?
Yeah. What
and
happened?
You worked at one of the worst state prisons in New York, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
I told you how I read that article about Ralph Friedman. It was really interesting. I didn't even know who he was. We were out in the Hamptons, and I just found it very intriguing, and it kind of, gave me a little incentive to take a police test, and my friends also. I was taking all the tests. That was like 77 or 76. I guess, the fiscal years weren't too good there, the timing. So I would take every test that would come out, by the civil chief, see what test was being given. I took everything. I took, first thing to call me was state correction. That was 79 or 80, but there was a strike going on, and I wasn't going to go be a scab. They wanted to fly you in. I wasn't going to do it. So I waited. And then the following, it was July of 80. I was actually a bouncer in a bar out in Long Island, and finally got called, and I get this letter, report to Albany. I get up to Albany on a Thursday. We're in the academy 2 days. And next thing you know, okay, you report to Greenhaven. I don't know how many of us was. We were called the 2-day wonders. It was the first time they ever did that. But reality is you learn the job that way, especially in a prison, So I report to Greenhaven Prison, and I had been there previously. We went up with a basketball team to play against the inmates. but it was a lot easier to know, we were leaving. But when you're working, it's a different environment. It really does. And it really, I think it kind of molds you. If you can make it there, you can make it because you're among them in their own city, the inmates. Yeah. And there, the first day, I was like, we walked in, there was a lockdown. It looked like a James Cagney movie. Cells, the burning, the smoke, the mattresses. And funny story, we're walking in the yard and they match you up. And I happened to be next to this young lady. She's a really pretty lady. And you can imagine the vulgar statements that were coming from the inmates. And she turns around and she says to me, were they talking to me? I said, they sure as hell weren't talking to me, And then I'm like, and I'm a big guy and it's still scary. I don't care who you are. If you say you weren't scared, you're a liar. And then long story short, I go up to one of the cells. They're giving us a tour. And I see my buddy Carl. And Carl's, he's got the cigarettes wrapped up, and Carl's a big dude, And my nickname was Stitch. And he turns around and goes, Stitch, what's up? I said, this job's going to be fun. So from that moment on, I just adjusted. And, I took that as a stepping stone. And if I had to stay, I would have made a career there because I was, seeking to move on. I was there for a while, went back to the academy. We had a short academy a few months later. Like I said, it was an amazing experience, because in Greenhaven at the time, I think there was like 1,900 inmates, and I think 3/4 were doing like double life sentences. So you learn,
Isn't that the prison where the correction officer was raped and murdered by a lifer?
2 days before I was gone already, and one of my buddies, Danny Dolike, who later became a cop, he couldn't come to my wedding. They were all locked in the jail. They wouldn't let him out. So fast forward the clock. I'm there a couple months, 9 months, 10 months. I get called by City Correction. I remember I had to report to the academy on Monday, whatever it was. And I remember driving on the Interborough Parkway, and I was coming home. We were going to my wife's friend's house, and I remember looking at the Queen's House of Detention. I said, it's going to take me 10 years to get to that place. I'm in the academy. The 5th day, I thought I was in trouble. Like, Starkman, come here. Like, they called a few of us, right? Queen's House Monday morning. So I thought I was going for like on-the-job training. Right. What happened was, I was certified by the state and somewhat experienced, they put me in the Queen's House. So I kind of lucked out. I'm there a couple of months. Next thing I know, I'm working a special housing unit. So I had the worst of the worst. I had the cop killers. Matter of fact, I used to call it the celebrities. Remember the one that killed Scarangello and Rainey? Shot Rainey, LaBourne, New York. I had you name it, they were all there. Yeah. Upstairs, we had guys that were locked up, some law enforcement, the snitches, the protective custody. So I did that for a while. And then I was doing some overtime, and these guys come in, and they, I was working a Sally Port. They were bringing a prisoner in. And they flashed this tin on me, and I'm like, they go, Sheriff's Department. It would look like a detective shield. And I'm like, what sheriff's? They go, New York. I go, New York. I knew it's Suffolk, Nassau. I didn't know, upstate New York. They go, New York City. I thought I took every test in the world. So how'd you get that job? And it's like the best kept secret. I said, how can I get it? They go, we have an opening, get a resume. Now, there was no computers. You have to sit home typing like, the old days. I put in a resume and I got the job.
Wow.
I just took it for one reason. At the time, I think there was only like 25 deputies in the city, but it was on parity with correction, the uniformed services, Monday through Friday. But I knew I wasn't going to stay there because my goal was to go to NYPD. That's what I always wanted. I'm on vacation. I'm there about a year and a half. I'm on vacation in California. I totally forgot about the customs job, and I'll never forget, we stop in a hotel room for the night. I turn on the TV. I'm watching this special with Geraldo Rivera, jumping out of helicopters in Miami, chasing smugglers. I said, man, this looks like fun. How crazy is it? I come back from my vacation, and I got called for customs. Took the job. They had me working first before we went to the academy. 3 days before I graduated, my wife tells me on the phone, you just got called. Because, the first round with NYPD, that's when they went into the different lists. They had the male, female, minority, other, whatever. And I got a 93 on the test. I never got a 93 in my life on anything. So it failed. 94 was the cutoff. I think that was 7 whenever I took the test. So I said, you know what? I got 3 more days. I'm graduating. I just spent 3.5 months in Brunswick, Georgia. I'm not going to the academies. I got a little taste of working drugs before I went to the academy, so I'm going to stick with this. And then I worked in New York for a while. Did an undercover operation. We're out in Montauk. Really wasn't what I shouldn't say what I thought, what my expectations were. And I had an opportunity to go to Miami because I had a friend down there that said, anytime you want to transfer here, give me a call. So his name was Bobby Benevente. He was a New Yorker, transplanted to Florida. I call him up. He says, no problem. If you could just come down on your own, so I came down with my old partner, Nick Jacobellis. And it was like heaven, man. I'm like, we're down at the customs office. I see this guy towing a boat in, with drugs. I said, man, this is like watching Miami Vice, So I went to the chief of patrol. At the time, it was called Customs Patrol Officer. That was supposed to be like a uniform position. Then you had the agents, which I would equivalent, let's say, the patrolman, and then you have the detective. So, it was like the investigative branch. So Al Westerman says to me, listen, we have some funding, but it's to get brought in, they bring in under the Marine program. I said, listen, I don't go on boats. The only boat I've ever been on is the Circle Line because I never got seasick going around Manhattan, So he says, don't worry. So I was very fortunate. They put me on what they call the FIS team, Freighter Intelligence Surveillance Team. So you work in the Miami River, strictly working dope. It was unbelievable.
I read like 3/4 of your book, and you guys came up with some unbelievable amounts of weight down there.
Well,
it was crazy, right?
Well,
was that where a lot of even the New York drugs were coming in from Miami, and then
it was the transshipment point.
Yeah.
Miami was the transshipment point, the access to the water, the airdrops. South America. You could go to the Bahamas on a speedboat and be back in an hour. So we just kept on working. I was so fortunate. I then had a boss. I went on vacation, came back. I get called into this office. His name was Wayne Roberts. I heard of him. I didn't know him. And he was a workaholic, Vietnam vet, Marine. And he calls me in the office, sits me down. It's like he did a background on me. And I'll never forget, he told me something, and I still use it with my basketball players. He said, don't ever lie to me. I'll go to the wall for you. You lie to me, I'm going to throw you off the wall. And the career was it was like playing ball in the park every day, and I got promoted a couple months later.
There's the buff photo you were with Ralph Friedman.
Ralph and Joe, yeah.
Is that at Ralph's house?
Yeah, his museum, I call it.
His museum. The Museum of Ralph.
So anyhow, I was fortunate. I got promoted. I made agent. A couple months, maybe a year, 2 years, 80. Yeah, I got promoted in 86, and I got there in 85. I made agent in 86. 89, they made senior agent, which is a big pay raise, So within 3 years, I got a second promotion. And then my boss left to go back to Operation Greenback, which was the money laundering group. And he said, just stay still. I'll get you in here. A couple months later, I'm working in Greenback. And you talk about having fun. It was the best time of my life working, And then I actually got all the local cops on the task force. I started that, formulate that. And everybody started using that, years later.
I heard that the cartels used to call you the tall, ugly Jew.
No, the ugly part wasn't in it, but it was El Judío Grande, the big Jew.
The big Jew.
Right. The ugly, and it's funny you say that because the Colombians, like if we'd make a hit on them, bad word, if we'd make a seizure, that's a word we used to use, they used to call us Los Feos, the uglies.
The uglies.
So you got the two words mixed up.
Yeah, I mixed it up a little
bit. The big good-looking Jew, and then the uglies was the group,
There's a handsome picture of you there up on the screen.
Get that one from the post office?
I think so. Off the wall. They pulled it off the wall.
Oh, put up a young one. There may be young ladies looking at something.
But it must have been unbelievable in South Florida during that was like the Miami Vice time. And when you see is like millions of dollars. Did they use that money for law enforcement to get better equipment?
Yes. What they would do is they had assets forfeiture. So, for instance, on our task force, in our group in Operation Greenback, we had Metro-Dade Police, Narcotics. We had Coral Gables Police. We had Border Patrol, but they're a federal agency, so we can't dish out anything. And then we had Broward Sheriff's Office. So what we would do is, let's just say, the informant would get paid anywhere up to 20% at times. And it's a lot of money they make. And then they would tally up the money depending on how many hours. Let's say you had a squad and they worked 25 hours. I'm just saying. So we paid their overtime, and then we gave the departments asset forfeiture. And that's why you remember the famous Nick Navarro, the sheriff of Broward the sheriff, Nick Navarro from Broward County. He's the one that started the show Cops.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, he loved me because they were getting money. I became his best friend. So it really paid off for everybody, you know.
Hey, you know a movie I love, Custom comes up a lot in it. Cocaine Cowboys, that documentary.
Okay.
It seems to be around the time that you were on the job.
Yeah, I came down here. I got transferred in '85. I didn't retire till '08, but '85 till about '96, I was working narcotics and money laundering. Then I got put into another group, and then I went back to another drug group. Then I got assigned to the FBI Joint Terrorist Task Force. I was the customs agent assigned there. So I was there before 9/11, during, and after. I was there about 5 years.
Hey, Bob, a guy named Eddie Glover said, "Yo, Starkman, it's Tim, the photographer from Highly Unoffended."
Yeah.
So you got some fans following you around here.
Yeah, that's funny.
What was that, a TV show you did?
No, Highly Unoffended was they're two guys. They're two law enforcement guys out of Connecticut. They actually came down here. They're funny. Yeah, nice guys. Yeah.
You know, one of the scenes in the. Did you ever see the documentary Cocaine Cowboy?
Yeah.
Remember the scene where they're explaining how they used to watch the harbor and they rented out apartments or condos in the buildings there and had their girls up there. And their job was to sit with the binoculars and watch when the Coast Guard are out there before they bring the speedboats in.
Yeah, well, actually, Pete Gerard, you should rest in peace. He was a supervisor. He had worked on that case, and I can't think of the guy's name, but there was a case with the FBI, and I believe it was in a Hall-Over Cut. There was apartment buildings, so you have the cuts, you know, to come into, you know, from the ocean to get into the intercoastal. So they had apartments upstairs. So they had the radio communications. They would watch. You know, a lot of times they would divert, you know, they would know, and I'm not too familiar with the marine aspect of smuggling, but I do know when the full moon and the water's flat, man, you could zip across, you get an airdrop, come in. But what they would do is they may have 3 of the same boats. And one boat has it, the other 2 are going different ways. So there could be a chase. You know, it's so wide open. It's like without informants, it's tough. But the thing here is inform. A lot of guys would give up their other competitors. You guys are cops, so you have the various types of informants. You know.
But most of your drug dealers, from what I read in your book, they were Colombians, right?
Yes, they're mostly like we worked. I had a really good informant, and they were able to. I had one that was actually in Colombia, so he owned the Casa de Cambio, which is the money exchange house, and the other one here conducted all the money pickups because we had an operation where we would launder money and, knock down the different, we used to call it the Chinese wall, like get through it, get that. But you have to have somebody in place. So we were dealing more with organizations. We weren't dealing with street drugs. Once in a while you'd come up with some things. But for the most part, it was, working into organizations.
And most of the drugs coming into Miami weren't specifically for use in Miami, right? They were going all over the country.
Oh, I believe it was distribution, absolutely, because you'd hit a house, and back in the day, what happened was, you hit a house, you have a room filled with dope, you'd have a count room and a money room, and then they came up with the money statutes, the government, where you have to prove a specified unlawful act where the money came from. They got smart. I always joke. I said it probably took the government 10 years to write the statutes, and the Colombians probably 10 hours to figure out how to break it. So now you hit a house. You go in a house, you find $1 million. They say, well, no say. It's like, it's not my money. So you seize the money. They have to deal with the people in Colombia.
Right.
And then you'd hit the dope house. They'd have a guy usually watching it. So it was always, they got smart. So, you went from a money house. It was very hard to find records. They knew to separate it to show the transactions, the sales. You could have a house with 1,000 kilos. When I first came in, the first case I worked was 300 kilos. I'm like, wow, I'm calling my friends in New York because, 2 kilos, you get in New York, it's great. They're like, yeah, you're full of crap, And then
Bob, what was the movie The French Connection? I think it was 110 pounds of heroin.
Yeah.
And that guys were taking that in car stops in Washington Heights.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just saying how things, everything has changed,
Yeah.
So it was interesting. Like I said, it's just volumes and volumes. And, and that's why I enjoyed working money because, with the dope, 1,000 kilos, all right. Somebody may be found floating somewhere, but at the end of the day, they're going to be shipping in more money. We lose our wallet. That's how I would equate it. We worked all week, so you take money that hurts, and I enjoyed that because at least that part I felt like I did something. Dope, you guys know what it's like. It's not going to smell, So that
Do
was
you speak Spanish or no?
I know how to say. My boss taught me to say this when I got there. Yo soy federale, manos arribos cabron. I'm a federal agent. Hands up, asshole. That's what they say.
You sound like former Mayor Bloomberg when he would speak Spanish.
But
Policía no se mueva.
You speak better than me,
Yeah,
but you learn how to order your food. You learn how to order the food in the Cuban restaurants,
That's right.
And you kind of pick it up a little,
when I worked in Manhattan North, I was in homicide. We used to work all the precincts. And when I'd go to the 3-4 or the 3-3 or 3-0, all the cops learned how to speak Spanish just from being there.
Yeah,
I was like, holy shit, it's pretty. You see these, white guys speaking pretty fluently, and I was like, how'd you learn to do that? And the guy goes, oh, just from working here. I'm like, wow.
Well, you do pick up some of the words, but what's funny is, I'm sorry.
No, I used to get calls. I worked in the squad, so at least every day, maybe twice a day. Either they had somebody downstairs I had to go talk to that only spoke Spanish, but I was, I'm half Dominican, so I speak Spanish pretty good. But I liked it. I liked being able to, because the more I spoke, the better I got.
Right.
I practiced a lot. Now I lost it all because I don't really, have an opportunity to speak it that much anymore.
See, if you worked for the government and you spoke Spanish, you got some kind of percent on, you got a little extra money.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about the Russian. Every time you know a language on the job, it's always better. We had a Russian guy that he came to work with us in warrants. And what happens is, at the time, there wasn't that many Russian officers on the job.
Right.
He got promoted to detective. He started feeling his oats. You know what I'm saying? They asked him to do certain things. After a little while, he was like, no, I don't want to do that. And then in the next class coming out, they had 3 Russian kids in there. So they bounced them out and they sent them to warrants. And they took the 3 Russian kids. Yeah.
Well, it's funny with me because when my hair was black and I had a thick mustache, sometimes I had a beard, I could pass for Hispanic. People would come up to me, start speaking Spanish. And it was like, better off speaking Chinese. Oh, God.
Was that it? El Grande Judío?
El Judío Grande, yeah.
El Judío Grande.
Well, you heard, I don't know if he told you the story. What happened was we were doing a money pickup, and I'd like to get there early, so I check out the place, where we, we prearranged to meet. Get around, walk around, because a lot of times you'll have DEA, you don't know who's involved. Sometimes the FBI. We've come across everybody till they set up this system to coordinate. So I get out of the car and I come back in, and Bert Fashard, who was the BSO guy I worked with all the time, he's laughing. So he overhears the bad guy telling the informant, quick, get the F out of here, the big Jews here, in Spanish. I'm like, what are you laughing at? So that's how my nickname became El Judío. They spotted me because they knew me, from, I guess I must have popped somebody. It was just funny. So it kind of, stood with a couple of the guys.
Yeah, you're not going to fit in like that.
Yeah.
Bob, it was funny when we used to do lineups. Sometimes we would use 5 cops as fillers. And the perp, of course, didn't know because they came dressed down.
Right.
And the perp would always make admissions to the cops thinking they were just homeless guys coming in from the street. And then he saw them in uniform. They'd be like, oh, shit.
It's funny you say that. When I was working in a gas station when I was going to college, there was a couple robberies. And the guy said I look like one of the guys, one of the subjects, So they asked me to come. They were going to pay me to sit in the lineup. The only problem is, I had a big, thick mustache, and I was quite young, of course. I probably was like 21, 22. And every time I had to stand up, I had to sit down, because I was taller than them sitting down, So, they say, all right, stand up. So, everybody stands up. I'm still sitting. I remember I got a couple of they paid me to do it. It was in the 112 precinct on Yellowstone Boulevard there.
I remember we had a perp one time. It was 6'8", and I was like, "How the fuck?" I shouldn't use the F word. How the hell am I going to find 6'8" or 6'6" fillers? So everyone was like, of course, under 6 foot. But we had them sit down. But when they stood up, it was like so.
Yeah, well, I never got up. Every time they said stand, they made me sit. I never got killed, but said I was good.
I was really good at getting fillers. So if I was working and somebody had a column that needed fillers, they'd always send me because I knew where to go. I go to Ward's Island. I'd go down 125th Street. I'd fill up the van in no time. I remember one time I'm on Ward's Island and the guy comes out and he wants to jump in the van. I said, no, the guy's clean shaven. So he goes, oh, that's all right. And he takes a big razor out of his pocket. And he starts shaving right there.
Dry shaving, yeah.
And I'm like, no, dude, go inside and do it right. Get some water and soap. I'll wait for you. So I got 2 other guys, and we waited for him to come out shaving. I felt so bad because he was.
I used to feel sorry for the fillers because they would get like $10. Sometimes they'd be there for 3 hours, and we couldn't control how long the lineup took. Sometimes, the witness is in here, or this witness is in here, or
They never wanted to go back either to Wards Island. They'd always say, I'd be driving down 125th Street going to Wards Island, right about Lexington Avenue, like, okay, we're going to get out over here.
Yeah. Take me to that bodega over there. They have Old English 800.
You tell people these stories, they never believe them, like unless you're in some type of law enforcement. That's why in my book, I wrote a chapter called Inside Both Court Bloopers, like some basketball funny stories and things that happen in law enforcement. Like I remembered all these different lines. It's like I said, the average person would think you're nuts when they read that, It's just funny stories.
Speaking of other stories, I want to ask you, I know in baseball, because my son was a baseball player, we had the option of maybe going to play Junco ball, which is junior college ball. And instead, he just decided to go to Binghamton and just, go a regular curriculum. And that worked out fine for him. He's going to be a nurse now. So, but in basketball, like what type of player goes to a junior college? Because I know the type of player that goes in baseball.
Yeah.
But in basketball.
Well, like Bobby Knight once told me, he was recruiting one of my players. He says, kids are in junior college for five reasons. You probably don't want to know 4 of them. But that's not really true. What I found, it's a lot of kids. Like I recruited a lot of kids from New York because I had good contacts up there. And I didn't have a budget, so I had to, depend on my friends. But a lot of the kids, some fell through the cracks, maybe overlooked where somebody else was, recruited. Some kids have had some problems. A lot of them, for the most part, it's usually academics. They didn't qualify for the NCAA, the clearinghouse. It's just a number of things. I really, maybe in 21 years as a junior college coach, I maybe gambled on 2 kids that I probably shouldn't have, because I learned over the years, you're better off taking a great kid that's a good basketball player than a great player that is going to cost you your job. Right. So, that was me. And the good thing about me, I was probably the only part-time coach in the country at the time, but I had a job and a career, so I could coach for the right reasons. That's what I tell people. It wasn't for the money. I did it because I love what I was doing. And thank God I was very successful, but I was successful. I tell people all the time, any accolades I got, I didn't put the ball in the basket. The kids did. Now, my job was to keep them in order. And I firmly believe that, you got to give credit where credit is due. So over the years, I've had several kids that are still playing professionally overseas. Adrian Yuta came to me. He was from Springfield Gardens High School. He had nothing. He was 6'5", 175, led the nation in rebounding in junior college. And Florida JUCO ball is one of the best in the country, probably, top 3 with Texas, Kansas, and we competed every night. I'm sorry.
The idea is to, if you fall through the cracks and you're a good enough player, that you can go to this 2-year college, a junior college, and at some point, then you'll get into a 4-year college, and you can jump on the team there.
Correct. Now, right? Yes, and in baseball, a lot of guys go to junior college instead of a 4-year school. So let's say a kid got drafted. He didn't go high enough. If he goes to a 4-year school, he has to wait, I think, 3 years. If he goes to a JUCO, he could get, he could be redrafted the next year. But for the most part, it's a lot of it's the academics. And like I said, and usually a lot of it is because they were overlooked. And I mean, I had kids play at Louisville, Kansas State. I've had kids play at Adelphi, New York Tech. So they've played at every level. So, and that's a good thing. And I keep in touch with a lot of kids. Matter of fact, last week in Atlanta, I saw a former high school teammate of mine. He's a retired correction officer. He was an investigator. I guess they had a gang unit. And then I saw a player of mine, Dwight Angley. When I took over a program, he was the only kid I kept. I cleaned shop on everybody. And it's nice, married, kids, doing something that I know I got, I had, like I said, it's somewhat of an influence, that made me feel really happy last week to see that.
That's great. Mark, you got to go to a commercial.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Listen to this. Guys and gals, we're sponsored by the best hot sauce in the world. Silk City Hot Sauce is made in small batches using pure ingredients. Locally grown peppers are the foundation of every bottle of Silk City Hot Sauce. I use it every day. I just gave Bill his bottles at our get-together last night, so he's going to get a chance to give us his reviews as well. But trust me when I tell you it's yummy, and I put it on all my breakfast every day. SilkCityHotSauce.com. If you put a OTC, the coupon code OTC, you'll get a 15% discount. SilkCityHotSauce.com.
You guys getting sick of living in New York? The high taxes, the crime, the Democrats, Cuomo, de Blasio? Well, move down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Carol Waters sells Myrtle Beach at gmail.com. She's part of Beach Realty Group. And she was a 20-year bartender at Fitzpatrick Hotel in New York. Her husband, Rob Mahan, was an NYPD officer who rolled over to the fire department. So if you're looking to go down to Myrtle Beach, give Carol Waters a call, 914-261-6681. A big friend of the show, attorney Joseph Murray, retired police officer. He really helps us out. He's been on the show many times, given us his expertise. You can reach him now. He has his own website, joe@jmurray-law.com. He's a great attorney. If you need an attorney, give Joe Murray a call. Back to the show.
So back to basketball. So you said you were doing it. You were still working as an agent then, right?
Yeah.
That must have been tough.
Yeah, you come from a drug bust, you go to a practice, you got to go back out on surveillance. But I made it happen. Being a head coach was, and the fact that I was part-time really helped out because I could kind of work around my schedule. I set my own schedule for preseason, but once conference schedule, you have to go by that. And it worked out. I took a lot of time away from my family, using a lot of vacation time, but it all worked out for the best. It really did.
No, I think it's a great thing that you think, and plus the adrenaline that you get being on the court, and being around the game and being able to help the youth. It's just incredible what you did. That's the book cover right there. Inside Both Courts. There's a forward.
Yeah, it's the forward by Joe Pistone. Yeah, and now you told us, I think. No, you didn't tell us. Tell us the story how you met Joe Pistone.
All right, so I had to go to undercover school, and at the time, Joe he was out of the FBI, and he was the instructor. For the undercover school, he's definitely the main instructor. And my old partner knew him. I didn't know him. I read his book, I saw the TV shows, whatever. And it's funny. So he calls me. I go in the back to meet him. He's in the back room because he's going to be the next speaker, in the back of the classroom. So my partner says, "Hey, this is Joe Pistone." So, "Hey, Bob Starkman." I said, "Man, you look a lot bigger in the book." He says, he says to me, "Glad to effing meet you too." Right? So living in Florida, you get a lot of allergies, sinus infections. I had the worst sinus infection. So on my desk, I kind of looked like Walgreens, like Walmart or whatever. I had like Flonase, I had antibiotics, you name it, I had everything. He said, "What is that?" I said, "Well, I got the sinus infection." He goes, "Yeah, man, I'm not feeling good. Can I?" So I said, "Oh, would you like some?" So I gave him my prescription because I could renew it. And then we're talking, and he says, "So why'd you come to the school?" Again, the school, I believe, used to have training in some IBM, I think in Virginia, like their training center, whatever. And I heard that. I said, "I heard you gave out autographed books." So I just came in for your autographed book. I was kidding. And I joke. I made the mistake last time. I didn't say it on purpose. I said halftime of the training, but I meant to say during a lunch break, but I was thinking basketball. So I said he came back, and he actually got me a book and signed it. And then we've been such good friends, family friends, over almost 30 years now.
That's great. So is Florida worse for allergies than New York?
I think so.
Really? I guess more plants, more trees.
Well, I think they blamed it on Trump because, Trump has a house in
Cold showers, brother. Cold showers knocks the allergies right out.
Oh, really? Well,
I suffer every year except for this year because I started with the cold showers. I had maybe one day where, a couple of days I sneezed a little bit, but nothing like the way I used to be. Try it.
I try everything.
They call it Wim Hofing. There's a guy named Wim Hofer that invented that technique.
Cold shower?
Well, they do breathing before they go into ice cold water.
Yeah, it'll knock it right out. You'll suffer. The allergies will be gone. It's worth it. The 5 minutes you spend in that cold water, it makes you feel better the other 23 hours a day.
I thought cold showers were for something else.
Yeah, exactly.
It works that way too.
I'll try it.
That's how I know I'm a master. Once I've mastered it.
Okay.
if I can.
Bob, are you still involved in basketball now?
Yeah, I retired from Broward. I'm a double dipper. It was a state job. I had an interim position at Kaiser University, which was an NAIA school. And the last 2 years, I've been an assistant at Florida National University. But one of the things I do, as a matter of fact, I'm going away tomorrow. I work at these like Euro pro camps, they call them like combines. So I coach, I evaluate, I do a little bit of everything. And I like being around the game. And this summer, this past spring into now, they have a local like AAU program. It's called South Florida Elite. They asked me if I want to coach the unsigned senior team. I said, yeah, 'cause to me, it's kind of like the junior college. And they're looking for school. They don't have anything. So I coached in 2 tournaments. I don't know how we won both of them, so I'm quitting because I'm going to go undefeated as an AAU coach. But the important thing, I was able to get 2 kids scholarships right away. And that's good. And very deserving, the kids are very deserving. And just that I was able to help, I enjoy that.
That's great.
Yeah.
You also knew some of the same guys I knew from Long Island. I remember you mentioned, I didn't play against him, but Danny Graziano, who was
I think it wasn't Danny. It was I can't think of his first name, but he was like what happened was during the Christmas break we had no practice. So my friend Al Matrani, he played at Valley Stream South. His coach let me play. They went out to Farmingdale, and that was I never saw a high school with a pool. It was brand new at the time. That'd be 72, 73. And he was a freshman then. He actually went on to play in South Carolina.
Yeah, I never heard how he did in college. Did he have a good college career?
Played in Italy for years. Wow. I mean, I didn't know him. I just know the name, and I played that one high school game against them. And then I knew Brad and Seth Greenberg. I know them through coaching.
How much money can players make over there playing overseas?
Well, it depends. An NBA player could make.
No, a guy who comes out of a junior college here, or maybe 4 years here and then goes over there.
It depends they have different divisions. Like you have like the first division. So I knew somebody in the first division. He was the highest paid player. He was making $350,000. Plus they give you a car. They give you a place to live. Basically eat for free. And you think about it. Everybody thinks they're making millions. A lot of the NBA players will go over there and get that type of money. But you do that 10 years. You have a career. You save your money. You're doing pretty good. And one of my players, he's still playing, and he's in Israel right now, and he'll be going to Puerto Rico. They have a pro league there, and he loves it there. So he'll be going back there. One of my other players just got back from Spain. Another one was in London. So some of the guys are still playing, and they're doing okay, but they have their degrees, which is nice. You know what I mean? Like they know they weren't like, I'm going to the NBA. They're professional basketball players. They're seeing the world. And what's better than getting paid for what you love to do?
That's awesome. It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
Israel's got good ball players.
Yeah.
Except they're getting bombs shut into their country.
He's in the north. I think they just have a ceasefire, I heard, but he's in the
north. They did a ceasefire. Hey, just a long shot, but do you see what's going on with Kwame Brown right now?
No, I didn't.
Okay. It's a podcast wars, but you remember him? He was a first round draft pick.
Right. Wasn't he out of Georgia, I think, like Brunswick, Georgia or something?
Yeah, he's definitely down south. But I guess he had enough of everybody picking on him.
Right.
So he started attacking everybody else, including Stephen A. Smith. And it's unbelievable. What he's saying right now, what he's divulging, he's going just sitting in bed and talking. So it's interesting. You might be interested since you're.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. People sometimes don't know when to shut up, and it's especially in sports. It's like when you win, they accuse you of doing something wrong. It's like the way the world is now. People just worry about themselves. Do what you have to do. And
his point was that he was an 18-year-old kid, and he's playing the clips of Stephen A. Smith ripping him apart, and he's like, I'm an 18-year-old kid. And you're ripping his thing is you're ripping another black man apart, a teenager,
right?
And then he goes on to go and every single person that ripped him during his teenage years, and then what they're doing to the other players. So it's interesting, his take on it, and I'm fascinated. I watch it every night. It's a show because they
podcast. You said?
Excuse me?
It's a podcast.
Well, Gilbert Arenas, is that the guy?
Yeah, he's a former player too. Yeah,
he had the gun in the locker room, right? It's him. It's the guy with the with the straight hair. His wife was fooling around with the coach.
Oh,
Barnes and somebody else. They have a podcast, and they started talking about Kwame Brown, and he's like, it's 20 years already. When are you going to let it go?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Everybody says that. I'm sure he didn't complain when he cashed those $1 million checks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think people get bored. I don't know. You got to worry about yourself, I think, in this day and age.
Yeah.
So, Bob, what do you think about what's going on nationally with law enforcement? The hit job that this whole country's doing on law enforcement.
Yeah, I think it's like, let's pick on somebody. I mean, listen, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. So one bad apple ruins it for X amount of others. It's like, and I don't know how anybody could become a cop now, because it's like you're afraid to breathe. I just think, it's funny because there's a lot of hypocrites out there. It's, this with the cops, this with that. Who's the first one you call when there's a problem?
Right.
911. Listen, we all know, like I said, there's good and bad everywhere. It's just horrible. Like, you think about it, like, how can you go to work? Like, could you go to work right now? Like, if you were, still on a job, you just couldn't, and I think people worry about the wrong things, let a cop do his job. But, now you got the cameras and you got people taunting. I just saw an incident that happened here last night. I was watching the news, and it was a chase, and the car flipped over. They were talking to some woman. I guess her car got hit, and everything she said was good, as she mentioned, until the cops pulled their guns. Well, the guy just robbed the car. There was 5 of them. They almost killed people. What are they supposed to do?
Yeah, no, it's so ridiculous.
It's really sad.
The other night we had a event at this restaurant in Manhattan. It was called Bordeaux, and Joe Lisi was a retired captain who's probably one of the most successful actors of any NYPD cop. Anyway, the 2 cops came in, the one female cop that carried the shot 4-year-old to the ambulance.
Oh, yeah.
And they got a standing ovation. It was a really good feeling to see. Right. But, this was a whole cop crowd, right. But to really see the praise that they got and that they deserved for doing what they did. And that's what the police really are. Right. They're the good guys. We're not the bad guys, and there's plenty of there's more bad politicians than cops. I swear to God.
Well, I was glad. I try not to watch the news too much, but I was bored one night and I was flipping through the channels, and every channel had that. So that was really nice. That was positive, Yeah. And, instead of showing a guy fighting for his life, show these positive. Every day there's something good that happens, and like I said, there's bad everywhere. But people got to focus on the good, and it's tough. It's tough.
Well, yeah, I think where you live down in Florida, I think they're much more supportive of law enforcement than they are. New York has turned into it's just so left wing, it's out of control. And they have people running for mayor that should be running for the premier of China. It's like it's just incredible, the people that are running for mayor, and they're all they call them progressives. Here's some of the handsome people running for mayor in New York City. Each one of them is more progressive than the next. It's pathetic.
Is that Woody Allen up there on the upper left? Is that Woody Allen?
Yeah, it looks like him, right? But the guy underneath, the guy on the upper right, the guy in the middle there, he wanted to cut. He said he would cut the police budget by $3 billion. Dude, just leave town now. You have no chance. Take a walk. Go to Seattle or somewhere. It's like. It's unbelievable. They try to outdo each other with left-wing progressiveness.
I read the Post. I get the Post delivered to my house every day.
You want to keep your finger on the pulse.
They get the best headlines. I laughed. Some I can't even read the articles, but keeps me fresh.
Yeah.
I wonder how they do that. How do they get the Post to Florida? I guess
it's probably like a little bit late. You know what I mean? Like I may get some if I go online, some of the articles. If there's a late basketball game last night. It's not going to come, but they print it here, I'm sure. They're not going to.
It's good. It's awesome.
Oh, you don't think they just throw it on the commuter plane?
On the Express.
Nah, they I think I print it here, But I enjoy it. I still got, I love reading the New York paper,
Yeah, I know. I get it. I totally get it, man. I envy you living down there. It's that's life right there. Beautiful. So what are you up to now? What are you doing with yourself now?
Like I said, I was coaching this unsigned senior team. Tomorrow I'm going up to Orlando. I'm going to be at this camp. My friend John Cafino is running a overseas combine. So he has me working there. So I'll be there for a couple of days. I was in Atlanta last week, went to see my son. We had a good time. I'm enjoying myself, somewhat. I can't sit
You
still.
doing any money laundering with this guy on the screen?
Nah, that's Slim Shady. Nah.
That's a great shot. Is he always wearing sunglasses?
Yeah.
What he doesn't want anyone to recognize him?
Yeah, I mean, that's his thing. He's smart,
Oh yeah, no,
He's sharp as a razor.
He looks, from what I've seen, he looks great he's 80 years old, right?
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's such, and he's such a dear friend, and it's like we become such good friends, I mean, I speak to him probably more than I talk to anybody in my family,
Oh, for our listeners, we're talking about Joe Pistone, aka Donnie Brasco. He's good friends with Bob Starkman.
Well, you mentioned possible scenes from your book, and I know you were just joking around, but obviously that's something that's in your head. Like you could visualize scenes from your book in a film. So tell us about that. Where's your book going right now?
Well, originally I wrote the book just to tell my story, and my story, I talk about everybody. It's not about me. Everything in it is like the team effort, showing basketball, to law enforcement, it's like a game, and you try to win, you don't want to get hurt, you don't cheat, same thing, you go to court, you don't lie. Not you come out, you lose a game, you try to win a game. You can't lock a guy up, you try to get him again. But it's funny, somebody was joking. I was on this podcast, actually Stephen McDonald's sister-in-law, Lori McDonald. She has a thing that's called Ivy League Murders. And she had us on this. So she was joking. I thought she was joking. She said, this could be some kind of series. She said, who would play you? I said, probably Fred Gwynn, but he's dead. Herman Munster. So.
Well, you know what? What was the other guy? He was the last movie. He's still alive, though, actually.
Grandpa Munster?
No. He was in the Ocean's 11, but that was the last time I seen him. He's a Jew. He's tall with the curly hair.
Elliot Gould?
Yeah, Elliot Gould.
He's got to be 90 years old. Yeah, Elliot Gould.
I'm catching up. When I was younger, everybody used to say I look like Elliot Gould.
Yeah.
That's funny. But she told me, who's this guy? Vince, what the hell's his name? He's an actor.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, I said, come on. She said, no, he's tall.
Young you.
Joe's like, yeah. This is the first podcast I'm doing without Joe. Usually we're both here. And he's like, we're kicking each other. Your turn, my turn. It's like, this is solo, man. This is history. I'm doing my first podcast alone. But
it's not easy, right?
Yeah, it's fun,
Oh, you got a lot to talk about, huh?
Yeah, it's you get with New Yorkers and you shoot the crap.
Let me say, sometimes when you do it by yourself, when you do it by yourself, sometimes you draw a blank every once in a while.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep focus, But
mostly you do them with Joe. Is that what you're saying? You have your own podcast now.
Yeah, it's been good. I said, Joe, he's riding my coattail now. It's like I think it enhances everybody's show having him on. I mean. It's like Babe Ruth, and I'm like the ball boy, bat boy. But I spoke to one or two people. Some guy wants to talk to me about a script on things, and Joe's really good with that because he's had his own major motion picture. He's a consultant. He has shows. Matter of fact, he has his own podcast too. It's Deep Cover, The Real Donnie Brasco. He does it with Leo Rossi, the actor. Wow. So he's helping me out. If something happens, it happens. I didn't write the book for that. I just wanted to tell a story. I'm no superhero. I'm just a regular guy, and I enjoyed my careers, and it's more about perseverance,
Bob, you know what I'm glad you did in your book? You used 14 font.
Hey, that's over 40. That's over people over 40.
That's right. So I could read it without,
That's funny great. You say that. I didn't actually. The lady I hired, this lady, she was an editor. She just put everything in order. And it was her idea. And I don't know if she did it on purpose, but I joke. I said, that's for the, 40 and above.
You got to thank her for me.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's great.
Why don't we give a shout out to some of the people that have tuned in tonight, Bill?
Sure. Of course, the Pranzos are here. Peter Pranzo, the great Lieutenant Pranzo, Harlem Raiders. That's his book. Linda Uribe, 12-Step Woman, MC's Audio. Marianne DeLuco McGinnis. You got a lot of names, Marianne. Eddie Glover. Yo, Starkman, it's Tim, the photographer from Highly Unoffended. Who else we got here? Laura Daly. Michelina Serino. I think that's Bill Ryan from Ryan Investigative Group. We got Juan Valdez, Maureen Walsh.
What happened to Mike Cologne? Where were you on Tuesday night? I mean, this kid is he's every night. Why couldn't you make the get together? What the hell was this kid doing? He should have been there. Was he there?
I don't know. He wasn't there. He lives in Connecticut. He probably couldn't get the car that night.
You freaking kidding me? I would have drove to his house and picked him up. I didn't even think about it right now. For all the people that came out on Tuesday, you know what a great time we had. The place was at first, Bill, you were saying there was like, we had reservations for 30. Well, there was way more than 30 people there.
Oh yeah, that was probably. I'd say there was between 60 and 80 people there. It was a good showing.
The whole thing was beautiful, and just to be hanging out again, and to be to socialize again after all that we've been through with the pandemic and all your family that you know what I'm saying, to actually have some laughs again with your old friends and a beer and talk and socialize. It was just amazing, man. It was a beautiful night. Thank you for everybody who came out. I think we should do this twice a year, Bill.
We'll have to ask Joe Lisi to do it again, maybe in the fall.
Yeah,
and we'll get Bob up from Florida, and he'll bring Donnie Brasco with him. Joe Pistone.
Actually, on June 3rd, a very close friend of mine, Paul Martinez, he owns Paul's Police Equipment on 2630 East Tremont Avenue. Ralph and I are doing a book signing.
Oh, cool, man! I'll stop by.
Yeah, I'm going to come up there, so it'll be fun,
In the place there.
Well, there ain't too much room. Like I said, we may be on Tremont Avenue. Yeah,
I'm right by East Tremont Avenue. I'll come.
Yeah. My friend.
What did you say? June 3rd?
Actually, I'm going to put out. I just made up a flyer. It's going to be June 3rd at Paul's Police Equipment.
Is it going to be during the day? Because I know we have a show
between 12 and 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll be there. No, I live right down the block.
Okay, yeah. So he's gonna be there. Ralph and I, we're gonna have a little book signing.
What did you say the time was? 12 to what?
12 to 5.
Yeah.
And Paulie said he's giving 10% discount if they buy my book on anything in the store. I don't know if he knows it yet, but make it known.
So, but Bob, in your police career, you did what, like 21 years?
I did a total of. It's funny. I did almost 27 years between customs and corrections and the sheriff's office. But then when I retired, I took a job as a investigator with the Pari-Mutuel, which is the gambling. I did that for 9 years because it was in the same pension system as my coaching job. Yeah, so I was able to. I had 21 years.
So you're double dipping. Yeah. That's great.
Somebody made a comment. They said they love that word, double dipping.
Double dipping.
Actually, it was a lieutenant that worked in Manhattan North, and I think he was in Manhattan North Narcotics. My buddy Tony Montavani was his lieutenant. I just went blank on his name. Big Irish guy, nice guy. He double dipped when he got out. I think he was teaching.
That's great.
Well, he's got those big mitts.
Yeah, man.
He takes whatever he wants. He just takes whatever he wants. I want some of that. I want to check this out. Yeah. God bless you, man. That's what
Bobby, this is the time of your life you want to enjoy everything. You got 3 successful kids. Right. You're still with the same woman you married, right? It's now you enjoy yourself, right? Yeah. You enjoy your double dipping at this point.
Yeah, you got, you see too many things happening. Last year was a tough year for my family, and I lost my brother and sister.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Within 6 months, and it was like tough, and you really got to appreciate life, and it's it's not only me, it's everywhere, and it's like, just try to make the best of it. I always try to be a good person, help people and do the right thing, and.
Well, Bob, you come across, and this is the first time I met you. You come across, you're a good guy. I could tell you're a good guy, and just what you're giving back as far as coaching and basketball, it's a fantastic thing, And we all try to use sports to actually mold us into the people we are now. And I used to encourage my kids to do it.
Right.
And my one son was like a really good high school wrestler, and the other one saw more ceilings of gyms. Meaning he was pinned almost every match.
Right.
but yeah, he participated.
Hey, somebody's got to lose, man.
You're right. There's 2 guys.
Yeah, not his son,
Somebody's got to lose.
Right.
Yeah, can't all be winners.
I always told, when I coached, I made a lot of mistakes as a kid growing up. Everybody always thinks they have it so rough. Somebody always has it worse. And with my players, I always try to teach them from the mistakes I made. And some things that happened to me, and you try to, that's what it's about, and this generation's not easy. The kids,
No.
Yeah. How's your one-on-one game?
I can still shoot. You'd be calling 911 if I have to run up and down the court.
How old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
I just turned 66.
I'll play you.
All right, you got any money? I'll shoot you. I'll shoot you for money, not a gun. I'll still shoot you.
One-on-one. We'll record it for the show. I'm 50. I'm going to be.
We'll go around the St. Raymond's High School's around the corner. They must have a park out there.
Yeah, right there. I'm 50. I'm going to be 54. You're going to kick my ass, and we'll put it on the show.
I'm going to kick your ass. I said I could outshoot you without even seeing you play.
Well, that's all we're going to do. I'm going to give you the ball. You're going to take in a shot. Then I'm going to get the rebound, and I'm going to go back there.
And Bob,
right, then you got a chiropractor around there. What's that?
You didn't have the 3-pointer when you were in high school.
No, we didn't have a 24-second clock either, or 30 seconds.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
You remember the four-corner offense?
Yeah, Dean Smith.
Yeah, guys would kill 20 minutes with that, right?
Yeah.
It was crazy. I think that's why they got the clock because of him.
Yeah, that's the thing here. Down here, the high schools don't have a shot clock, and I think it's terrible. And the biggest problem is when they come to college, they can't adjust to a shot clock. Yeah. Unless they play on one of these running gun teams, they just shoot it and go.
Why is that?
Florida high schools, they don't use a shot clock. I know in New York they're using a shot clock, I believe, but they don't use a shot clock here. I think it's great.
Well, even if it was 40-second shot clock, you got to have a shot clock.
Yeah, you watch an NBA game, there ain't no kid going to be holding the ball for 40 seconds. You watch it.
No, but I'm just saying.
You're right.
For 40 seconds, better than 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, I know.
You're holding on to like a 3-point lead.
Right. It takes away from the game. I think the shot clock could be to an advantage and a disadvantage, but not a shot clock, I think, hurts the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're up on an hour mark. I think we got to get to our closing remarks.
Yeah. Listen, let's do the Patreon thing and all the things.
Folks, just if you like this show, please subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you really like us, that's our Patreon address. You can. We have 3 tiers. Number 1 is the bucket for $7 a month. Number 2 is Polish My Rack for $9 a month. And the premier $11 a month is dipped in butter. And you can dip whatever you want in butter, but that costs $11 a month to watch us. We got some good things coming on with this show. We have Joe Pistone, a.k.a. Donnie Brasco, coming on this Tuesday at 8 p.m. And Bob, we would love for you in the future maybe to have you and yourself and Joe Pistone on a show together. Would you like that?
Absolutely, Joe. Like I said, we're like the tag team.
That would be amazing. But I didn't want to put you on together the first time because you both have so much to say apart from each other. So we wanted to get you separately. And Jay Wiley turned me on to you.
Right. I know. I thanked him.
He's a great guy, Jay Wiley.
Yeah, really nice. Yeah.
National radio show on law enforcement today. Jay Wiley. Anyway, Mark, you got any closing remarks?
No. Once again, I just want to say thank you to everybody that came out. Thank you to Joe Lisi, first of all, for hosting the event. I didn't try the pizza. I'm sure it was. I saw everybody else having it, but I was so caught up in how delicious their vodka was.
Yeah.
I couldn't get past it. So if you're in New York City or you're planning to visit New York City, please stop off at Bardo. It's 350 West 46th Street. They have brick oven pizza there. They have amazing tasting vodka, and you'll have a great time.
And Bob, thank you so much for coming on as a guest, and we're going to stay in touch, and I'd love to have you come back on again by yourself or with Joe Pistone.
Oh, thank you so much. This is fun. I'm glad I got to talk with you guys and people out there. And like I said, on June 3rd, we're having that book signing. If anybody's interested in the book, it's on Amazon.
I'm coming. I'm going to pass by there and say what's up. June 3rd. What day of the week is that?
There's the book right there.
The Thursday.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there.
I'll shoot you a text with the info just to remind you.
All right, cool, man. I'm looking.
I owe you a book. I know I gave your partner a book. I owe you a book. So.
I know. I can tell you're a good dude, man.
Thanks. Same here.
Right off of that. I don't have to speak towards many people, but I can tell you're a good dude.
Appreciate that.
And thanks for coming on the show. You're a great guest, and we look forward to having you back.
Thanks, man. Be safe.
Good night, all you Police Off the Cuff fans. Good night, Mark and Bob. Thanks again.
Same. Pleasure. Later, guys.